What's the biggest problem with the defense? They got some problems.
Well, obviously, I think Nick losing. We watched the 49ers play against whoever they played last week, the Cardinals. Nick
Yeah.
Bosa went out, and it didn't really look like they were affected greatly, but they were when you look at the numbers and the pressure rates. I think losing Nick Bosa was huge loss for the 49ers, but you can't sit there and rely on that. I don't know if you guys know, but the 49ers set an NFL record yesterday, and that record was the most consecutive games, 11, without an interception. They're not getting interceptions. So that's another huge part. So losing Nick Bosa uh, and the play calling, I think that's what you're going to talk about because I saw some of your tweets. Play calling was not great by Salah yesterday. I think he was in his head too much. But not having Nick Bosa and not getting interceptions is big. That's a big problem right now with the defense.
Yeah, I mean, obviously having Nick Bosa is it's like the Warriors when they lose Steph Curry. I'm not saying he's the Steph Curry of the team, but like there's a gravity, right? When he's on the D line, everyone's going to slide toward him. He's going to get chipped. He's going to get one-on-ones for everyone else. Now, Bryce Huff's going to get chipped, and the Niners won't have any four-man pass rush. I still got to say, you pointed out the turnover thing. If the turnovers are the issue with the offense, then the turnovers are the issue with the defense. But I feel like that's going to, I mean, Fred Warner had his hands on 2 passes yesterday that he almost intercepted. I feel like that's something that could correct itself. But yesterday it was Salah. Salah was the problem. And I'm not going to, I think the run defense should be okay. They give that one long run, and then I think they did better against Travis Etienne in the second half. But like the pass rush and the whole pass defense to me was his fault. And here's why. He went with a 4-man pass rush and soft zone coverage, probably because he was worried about Darrell Luter Jr. Starting in place of Renardo Green. But you just gave so many easy 6 to 15-yard throws to this team that sucks. Why? Like without Bosa in there, you need to play man-to-man coverage, and you need to blitz. You need to rush 5. You can't have games where you don't touch the quarterback. That's your fault. You need to manufacture a pass rush and do what it takes. And you got to live with, if you give up a couple long passes because you played man-to-man coverage, so be it. You can't just do this death by 1,000 paper cuts and let Trevor Lawrence look like freaking Joe Burrow. You can't do that.
Yeah, I think when it comes to Robert Saleh, I think yesterday was a fluky game for him. I think he overcompensated for the loss of Nick Bosa and was being extremely cautious. I also think the whole sign stealing, I'm going against the guy who got the job I kind of wanted, that whole dynamic kind of got in Robert Saleh's head a little bit. And I think he'll adjust, and I think he'll be fine in games moving forward. But I really do think he didn't call a great game yesterday. And I think a lot of it is because he was in his head on the whole sign stealing, going against the Jaguars who didn't hire me thing, and Nick Bosa's absent. I think all that kind of accumulated into his head, and he overthought everything. I think he just needs to get back to what he does, which is manufacture pressure on the quarterback. I think Robert Saleh is great at that, and I think this team will bounce back in that regard defensively.
Also, I think you get what you pay for, you get what you draft. I mean, when the Niners had Tashawn Gibson and Talanoa Hufanga in their secondary, those were guys with a very defined skill set. They're not necessarily the fastest guys who can cover in the slot, but they're playmakers, they're ball hawks, and they're gone. And you've replaced them with Jason Pinnock and Marquis Siegel, who do a lot of things really well. I mean, they're very fast, and Siegel in particular is really good in run support, but coverage is clearly their weakness. And your one playmaker is Lenore. You don't have him in the slot anymore, so he's kind of being wasted on the edge where people avoid him. And now you're just hoping that Fred Warner can, pick off a couple passes over the middle, which he can sometimes, but he's a linebacker.
I think the 49ers defense will end up being top 10 at the end of the year, even without Nick Bosa. I do believe that. I just think yesterday, Salah just overthought everything because of all those things that were going on. The loss of Nick Bosa, going against Cohn, the Jaguars. I think they will bounce back, and I think even without Nick Bosa, they will finish in the top 10. I really do.
I got a quiz for you. Where do you think the Niners defense ranks right now? In yards.
In yards allowed?
Yep.
Well, they seem to bend not break. At least yesterday, that seemed to be the case. They gave up quite a bit of yards, but they stopped them in crucial moments. Where do I think they rank in yards allowed? 15?
5th.
See?
And 6th in points allowed. So look, they're a pretty good defense, even without Nick Bosa. They gave up 17 in the first half against the Jaguars. That's embarrassing. Then came back in the second half and gave up 3. Still a good defense. They definitely have their stuff together more than the offense. And like, we obviously saw what not having Bosa is going to do to it. It's not going to be as good without Bosa. Clearly, it's going to be significantly worse. And there's nothing they can really do about that. The way they pick up the slack, supposedly, is on offense. That was always the idea. You have so much money and assets invested in that side of the ball. The head coach is an offensive guru, apparently. That's where you got to make up the difference. And they turned the ball over 4 times on first down yesterday. Prize Picks will give you $50 when you play your first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you'll get $50 for playing. Use promo code COHN, COHN, and download the app now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it's strange that Kyle Shanahan was hired because of his offensive mindset and, people call him an offensive genius. But the identity of the 49ers outside of maybe 2023 has always been defense.
Always. Jerron Anthony says, Grant, you've been saying this since training camp on Brock's interceptions. Yeah, you practice how you play. Brock is Jimmy G 2.0 again, and Mac brings more rhythm to the offense. Can Kyle wake the F up? Well, I think we're going to see Mac get thrown to the wolves against the dude. That's going to be bad, man. Whew. Jared Verse, Byron. God, man. Kyle's really going to get all of his quarterbacks hurt by way before Halloween. Come on, Kyle. Joseph Wells says, if Mac beats the Rams, how do you go back to Brock? Yeah, there's that too. Man, that's a lot of stake.
Yeah,
life comes at you fast.
Man,
I don't expect him to win that game, though. Damn. Could, though. Robert Johnny says, this franchise hasn't known how to fill the quarterback position properly in 2.5 decades. All caps.
That's actually true, Robert Johnny. And you know what? Like, just to get back to it, like the Niners started 3-0 for the last comment. The Niners started 3-0. There's a good chance they end up 3-3 after they play the Rams and the Bucks.
Also, I like this comment too because this is the franchise of Joe Montana and Steve Young. And I think the Yorks are so desperate to replace them and have the next line in like of great quarterbacks. But Montana and Young weren't instant successes. Montana wasn't really special until his 3rd year. He didn't start right away. He kind of struggled early on. Steve Young was a failure and had to back up Montana for years and wasn't necessarily like great when he played with the Niners at first. I feel like the Yorks keep falling for these like instant successes. Oh, Jimmy wins his first 5 games. He must be great. Brock goes to the NFC Championship game, and in his first 7 games, he must be great. Colin Kaepernick goes to the Super Bowl in his first night. He must be great. Like, why don't you chill?
Yeah.
Slow down.
I tried to slow it down with Brock, and I'm going to slow it down even more on whoever the next guy is.
Let's say the next guy is Mac, and he has a good month. Chill. We've seen this before. He could have a hot stretch. Doesn't mean he's your franchise quarterback or he should be your quarterback next year. You should give him a big contract. But it's nice that he's doing well now.
Yeah, I like Mac Jones. I don't think he's that guy either. I really don't.
No. I think all Mac proves is that a lot of people could do this. No offense, Mac.
Correct.
Daniel Jones could do this.
Correct.
Sam Darnold could have been pretty good in this freaking team.
Yep.
Same. Daza says, are the intermediate middle of the field throws Kyle's favorite, or have they become Kyle's favorite because the Niners quarterbacks don't have the arm to make the big throws? No, they're Kyle's favorite. He wants to do the play action pass over the middle, 15-yard in breaker. To me, I think he likes it because it leads to high yards per attempt. It's a high percentage throw. It's right over the middle. You should hit that 70% of the time and get a lot of yards. The only downside is picks, and he can just blame the quarterback.
It's a high percentage interception rate when you throw through the middle of the field too. That's the other thing about it, which is sketch. Like if you hit it, fantastic. If you miss it, it's a turnover often. Not good.
Not good. SGA Sports, been a member for 5 months. Thank you very much, Shardal. Love you, man. Khalil Camp says, it's high time we all admit the truth about this team. We've gone as far as we can go with Kyle, and we're never going to win with him as head coach.
I mean, if you can build an amazing roster again, get to the freaking shoot. I mean, the percentages are low, Khalil. I'll say that. The chances are low.
His red zone offense sucks.
The
And I
run
feel like
game
it
hasn't
sucked for a
scored
long
touchdowns.
time. And his whole thing was like, oh, we can just give the ball to Christian in the red zone. And that worked. And now it doesn't anymore.
They haven't had a rushing touchdown all season, and they're the only team in the NFL that can say that.
And I like Ricky a lot. Ricky's a hell of a receiver. Really a good receiver. He does nothing for you in the red zone. Nothing.
Yeah, man. They need it. They need to find a Terrell Owens.
They need
man.
Kittle
I know
back.
not easy to come by.
T.O.
Yeah.
Maybe get Tariq. It's Nick for real says every drop back, Brock holds the ball too long. It's starting to feel like he doesn't have that rhythm he used to have and that Mac had at least for a couple weeks. Sucker Free says, Grant, do you think that Salah should pull Kyle to the side, confront him about his offense? Kyle needs Salah more than Salah does. Yeah, man, punch him in the face, Kyle. I'm just kidding.
That would not work out well.
Tell him he's a sign stealer. See what happens.
Team chemistry. The only person that can do that would be Jed or maybe John.
Yeah, agree. Draco says playing Luter 5 yards off the wide receiver when especially his man-to-man, okie dokie. Yeah, I didn't like that, man. I didn't like that at all. I had a problem with that.
Yeah, and I didn't really
of course,
notice.
Salah would say, we didn't give up any explosives of the year, and we only give up 20 points. All right. But you had no turnovers, and you can't get turnovers if you're playing that freaking soft.
I feel like they even had, I'd have to go back and watch, but I feel like even Diamador Lenore was playing off a little bit more than he usually does.
Yep. Dazza says Kyle's been to the precipice, and then he chokes. That is true. Christian Ayala says, would it even make sense to make a move at the trade deadline? We don't know how good this team is. They might not be good.
See what happens after they play the Rams and the Bucks and where they're at.
Yeah, let's see if they can beat the Falcons. Again, for the next 5 games on the road, this is kind of a brutal stretch. If they have a tough stretch of their schedule, it's right now. S-Dot said his red zone offense sucks. Reiterating. Yeah, reiterating. It really does. His offense just doesn't seem to have the creativity it had a few years ago when he had a lot of people working with him. Now it's sort of him and Clay Kubiak, and it's not great.